Timmins, James Bay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, that was fun. Let's try a little fact checks here. Now, the Prime Minister says he didn't know the details, but the RCMP said he was informed of the broad brushstrokes of the scheme. So what was he told about the negotiation between Nigel Wright as Chief of Staff, Benjamin Parham as personal lawyer, Janice Payne, Duffy's lawyer, and senior Conservative Senators Gersting and Takchuk to make the payoff and derail an audit investigation?
Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister.
Again, Mr. Speaker, what is very clear is that it is Senator Duffy and Nigel Wright who are the subject of this investigation. Mr. Speaker, Senator Duffy accepted expenses which he did not incur. He was not entitled to these expenses, Mr. Speaker, and at the same time, Nigel Wright repaid those expenses. That was wrong. Nigel Wright has admitted that and is prepared to accept the consequences of that, Mr. Speaker. That's another reason why Senator Duffy was suspended from the Senate without pay, Mr. Speaker. That's the standard we expect on this side of the House. It's unfortunate that the NDP and the Liberals don't accept the same standard, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Timmins, James Bay.
Okay, well, let's try this again. We're talking about the RCMP affidavits, not fiction here. According to the RCMP, Senator Irving Gersting was not only aware of the cover-up plans, he was an active participant. The RCMP say he contacted Deloitte official Michael Runia about stopping the audit into Michael Duffy's rip-off of the taxpayers. Now, it turns out that Michael Runia has donated over $6,000 to the Conservative Party. Now, do the Conservatives think this behavior is appropriate? What is the Prime Minister going to do to hold his buddy Irving Gersting to account?
Wow, Mr. Speaker, imagine this gentleman talking about donations when this is the party that accepted, what, $340,000 worth of illegal union donations, Mr. Speaker? Give me a break. He sits beside a member who made 29 separate donations to the Quebec Solidaire, Mr. Speaker. So on the one hand, you have a leader who doesn't think corruption is a big deal and doesn't report it for 17 years, sitting beside another person who wants to gerrymander the riding boundaries, sitting beside another person who wants to actually break apart the country, Mr. Speaker, and who somehow criticizes the brave men and women of our Canadian Armed Forces who have fought in wars, Mr. Speaker. I tell you what, Mr. Speaker, there's a lot of people on that side who have a lot to answer for, Mr. Speaker. On this side,
The Honourable Member for Timmins, James Bay. Order. The Honourable Member for Timmins, James Bay.
Well, God, that was tough talk, Mr. Speaker, from a man defending bribery, fraud, and corruption in the Prime Minister's office. So let's try and bring it back to reality. Now, Benjamin Parham was the Prime Minister's personal lawyer. Now, RCMP documents reveal that Parham's emails have been deleted and cannot be examined. Now, Mr. Speaker, the Library and Archives Act states, quote, no government or ministerial record shall be disposed of, including being destroyed, without the written consent of the librarian and archivist. So, simple question, did the Prime Minister's office get that consent before they erased this evidence?
Mr. Speaker, of course, emails and documents upon the departure of a staff are managed according to applicable rules, including Treasury Board guidelines, and of course we expect all staff to follow those rules, Mr. Speaker.